In order to liberate all sentient beings, let's give rise to the Supreme Bodhicitta. Well, today we'll continue with the Diamond Sutra teaching, and today the Diamond Sutra, the Prajnaparamita Sutra, and its oral transmission will give you the blessings. In fact, during the national holiday, during this period of time, that is the vacation time, holiday time for people who actually come to the Tibetan plateau to receive blessings, or on pilgrimage tours, or some of the tourists who are simply of no religion or no belief at all. Hopefully this teaching will give rise to, or will maturize their good seed that they've planted before, and maybe plant a good seed in their mind. However, what I noticed is that majority of people came here not to listen to the Dharma, rather they came here to see the corpse at the charnel ground. I think majority of people who come to the pilgrimage tour, and the ones who have religion, who have faith, they usually come to monasteries to prostrate, to circumambulate, to chant mantras, and so on. But what I notice is that majority of people nowadays would choose to see the corpse at the charnel ground, but they wouldn't come and circumambulate the stupas and the mandalas and so on. And that is by comparison to the ones who see the corpse. Maybe they're contemplating upon impermanence. Maybe they are observing impermanence of others by looking at other people's corpse and so on. Maybe it would be helpful to their visualization of death. I have no idea the intention. But I think sometimes when you see other people experiencing impermanence, people feel curious. And maybe people feel quite curious about other people's corpse. Milarepa, in fact, said that what you feel is terror, that is death, that dawn on other people, in fact, would also dawn on yourself. The corpse that you feel very curious or feel very afraid, that also is your own body. That's the way that you should contemplate upon corpse. As religious people, I think if you were to care more about your next life and not this life, that means you are rather a good practitioner. And for people who care rather about this life and not the next life, I don't think that's a good practitioner. A lot of people who came here, they're agnostic, and there are people who came here with belief or without belief. There are people who are not present, but they're present online. In whichever way you are listening, since you are here, you're listening to this class, I think it's already quite rare. I myself, I am grateful to those of you who are attending this class, especially all of you are listening to this class that is the teaching on the Prajnaparamita, on the transcendent knowledge, transcendent wisdom. During the studying of Diamond Sutra, I think we should then see through our grasping towards solid existence during our daily life as well as during our practice. I think this is quite the key, the core, that is see through the solid existence. Some people came to me and told me that I read your book twice, your book, The Cutter, twice already, and every time I read it, I feel so touched. When I read it, I feel like I really emerge into your thoughts. But when I finish reading, when I don't meditate in my post-meditation sessions, I feel that I am no longer in sync with this kind of teaching. Could you please give me blessing so that I could carry on this teach this kind of insights in my daily life in post-meditation sessions? I think it is very genuine reflection, but also I feel that you don't have to worry too much about that you have a different insights during meditative state and have a rather very mundane view of the life during your post-meditation sessions, because it really takes time and it is a step-by-step procedure and process you have to follow. So it's necessary to maintain this kind of practice, and you don't have to worry too much or rush too much. Another thing is that it is quite important to recognize that all phenomena are illusory. And how to recognize it is, first of all, you have to then have a deep understanding of impermanence. On one hand, the easier way of taking it is to observe the changes in your life. You can observe how your life changes all the way from your childhood till now. Your body, your habitual tendencies, your favorites, your family, your jobs, your relationship, your lifestyle, your religion, all of these kind of things, all of these factors, your personal factors, all have changes. And the group of people that you relate yourself with, such as your school, your community, and different kind of people, your colleagues, and all of those also change, isn't it? I think this kind of changes should be accepted, should be then accepted by the ones who are Buddhists. I think we should be able to accept this kind of changes. Sometimes it is the changes of the format of your teaching, for example. Maybe sometimes you're studying alone and you could change it to studying in groups. And sometimes you study in groups and you could also accept it when it comes to the time that you have to study alone. As a disciple of the Three Jewels, you have to know your disciple. You have to know your principle. You have to know your own path. You have to then keep your own path. And that's exactly what Ponso Rinpoche said. In fact, in terms of this, I have great admiration of the Jewish people who then wandered around the world. They don't really have their own country until the very recent time, and they've been living in different countries, but they have their own path and they kept their own livelihood. I think this is quite admirable. And whenever time changes, whatever changes, as Buddhists, we should also have such kind of a spirit of keeping your own path and do not waver such kind of principle. As Buddhists, I think changes are rather easy to accept. Unlike how mundane people, they would feel rather quite jarring when they change a different job position, different career, or different boss. But everything changes. As it is said in the Diamond Sutra, all phenomena are illusory. And because they're illusory, therefore it is subjected to change. When the factors are all together, when all the causes are mature, then the results will mature. And when the causes do not, the fruition won't come to maturation either. So during the teaching of Diamond Sutra, I really hope that we can see through the phenomena, the illusory phenomena. It doesn't mean that you don't sleep, you don't walk, you don't eat, you don't go to work. It doesn't mean that at all. You should not go to the extremes. I see lots of people who mistaken on the extremes. They then give up the things that they shouldn't. They see through the things that they shouldn't, and they grasp onto the solidity even more. In such a way, I think that's really the wrong way, the wrong path of taking the teachings. And this time, during the teaching of the Diamond Sutra, which takes only 2 days, so I'm giving you the oral transmission and give you rather very short and brief explanation on some parts of it. But I hope this could be a cause to arouse your curiosity to read more into the Diamond Sutra. I think back in 2000 or 2001, at that time I gave the teaching of the Diamond Sutra, and at that time it was rather very special and very unique period of time where we would have classes at 3 a.m. or 5 a.m. and sometimes 6 a.m. And that's how I finished teaching of the Diamond Sutra. It was rather quite explicit of the teaching of the Diamond Sutra. And later on, that class was then finished throughout the time. And that teaching was later on transcribed and published as a book. During the day, I was busy as normal. I had to then attend the meetings and so on. And I remembered I had to use the teachings taught through the Diamond Sutra to apply in my daily life so that I could cut through the difficult the obscurations as well as the afflictions and all kinds of things. Therefore, I gave the name of the cutter to my book on the commentary of the Diamond Sutra, just as Master Xuanzang's translation. The title is also the cutter. I didn't really read the book again after a long period of time, but I received some feedback from some of the scholars who told me that the way that I taught the Diamond Sutra was rather very easy to understand, and it was very unique from easy to understand. It's easy to understand and from a different perspective compared to many other teachings and commentaries. So he really liked my book. Also, there was another commentary I would like to bring to your attention. That is the verses written by Sangha, and then the commentary composed by Vasubandhu based on Sangha's verses. Other than the Tibetan version of such commentary, other great masters from China mainland also made a great commentary, such as Master Kuiji and so on. Especially, I think Master Kuiji, who is rather very explicit in terms of the explanation. And he gives some special and different perspective than Master Xuanzang's translation or Master Xuanzang's commentary. Majority of the great commentaries are from the ancient times. Especially, I think the great masters such as Sangha, who directly explained the teachings from the Buddha, and it was quite precious. I think the sutras as well as the commentary on the sutras are quite precious. Once you receive it, once you have the opportunity to read it, you should then read it and receive it with a very with this cherishing mind. Nowadays, young people really likes online shopping, and they would even borrow loans so that they would continue to buy, and they feel this sense of cherishing for the objects that they buy. But compared to this kind of objects, this kind of materialistic things, I think the teachings, the commentaries and the sutras and those kind of books are much more precious than those materialistic stuff. I think when it comes to the studying of the sutras and shastras, we should have this kind of very detail-oriented attitude in terms of studying those. We should study vastly, including different kinds of commentaries and different perspectives, so that we'll be able to understand it more in depth. I know that we have only a short period of time to study this, but I would encourage you to read more into the commentaries which were composed by the great masters who had wonderful wisdom. That would be very meaningful and valuable. In terms of the schedule for next week, in fact, I think it will be the same. On Sunday, this Sunday, we will have a Vajrayana class that is then restricted, only open to the participants who have met all the prerequisites. And Monday and Tuesdays are the Shakyamuni Sutra, and then the Uttara Tantra Shastra. Uttara Tantra Shastra on the Saturday. In the Diamond Sutra, it often talk about during the explanation, the chanting, the reading, and writing, and understanding, as well as teaching the Diamond Sutra, the merit comes from it would be quite wonderful. In the past, many people would write and transcribe the Diamond Sutra to practice calligraphy. In fact, this is really wonderful. If you don't have great calligraphy skills, and if you write really rather quite ugly, then it is best to just print it. You can choose different kinds of fonts and then print it. I think the merit is also quite great. In fact, the merit of printing the sutras is also quite wonderful and great. Of course, if you don't believe the language, the power of the language of the Dharma, then I have nothing to say. But in fact, if you were to believe it, I think that the merits are quite immeasurable. Before before you attain the enlightenment of or realize completely of emptiness, you should not give up all the meritorious actions. If you were to do it, it only shows that you don't understand what Dharma is. So it is quite important to practice the meritorious actions. Therefore, for those of you who want to make aspiration, at least I really hope that you can make such aspiration. I'm not going to force you or ask you to raise your hand or so. But what I'm going to ask you is, at least you should read and chant the Diamond Sutra once per year at least. Such as there are people who told me that this is my second time of reading the Diamond Sutra. There were Zen masters who would chant the Diamond Sutra for 100 times a day. But at least I think if we cannot do that, you can chant it once per year, isn't it? And I think that's the least requirement. Especially the Chinese version is really easy. It's very short. You can finish it in half an hour. If you cannot read it every day, then at least you can read it once a year. I know some practitioners who chant it every day and without interruption. Doesn't matter how tired, how busy they are, then they continuously to practice this. There are people who make aspiration, they would then keep their vows, and some people who don't at all. So let's see what kind of person you are.
yang dagbar jig ba semchen namji ton da thaba par de shin ba la yang dagbar jig ba semchen namji ton ji shere de jang shig be song so gang da chu ji nam zhang de len ba dang zhen ba dang qiang wa dang hu ba dang xiang chi ber xie ba dang zhen dag la de che yang dagbar ton ba de dang ne de jang shig be kin de jang shig be zi de semchen tam chi ne sunum ji pong bo ho de me par dang dam ber ngir sunum ji pong bo sam ji me che ba dang 총바 메바당 저드 메바당 찹 메바당 담브링게르데 셈진데다 탐치데 니 샹좀 척바라 토브르 gyuro 타텔리
Here it says that carrying on the work of the Tathagata in bringing beings to unsurpassed complete enlightenment. And over here, carrying on the work of the Tathagata, carrying on such kind of work to bring all the beings to unsurpassed complete enlightenment. It means to carry on the work of the Tathagata. There was a Zen master whose name is Master Zhongfeng, and when he read to this stanza, at that time, when he read this, he attained enlightenment. In fact, if you have the auspicious connection with this sutra, and once you chant it, read it, maybe some verses, some word could contribute to your enlightenment, could be the cause of your enlightenment. I think mundane people, once they read it, they would just feel that, oh, it's just to bring to unsurpassed complete enlightenment. What's so special about it? But based on your own faith and belief and deep trust, in fact, it has the possibility to bring you to enlightenment. You never know. So you should be careful when you read it. It may bring you enlightenment. Maybe you don't even know it. Maybe you don't know that you are enlightened. It's possible. Because in this sutra, every word and every stanza has such pith instruction and power to bring you such kind of enlightenment. by reading the collection of the stories of people's enlightenment based on reading and chanting Diamond Sutra, you can see that different people got enlightened based on different kinds of verses. It's such a simple verse, it's such a simple sentence. What's so special about it? So carrying on the work of Tathagata in brain beings to unsurpassed complete enlightenment, what's so special about it? What's the reason? It means that the beings of the lower capacity, in fact, they don't have such opportunity to meet this kind of Dharma that is so profound. I know there are people who are here because they are traveling and they're tourists and they're just here by chance. They feel, at least. In fact, this kind of chances, you may feel that it's only by chance, but it is rather because you've made auspicious connection to the Dharma previously. That's why you're here. Over here it says that there are people who have very deep evil karma. They won't have such a cause to listen. Also, wherever there are the texts of the Diamond Sutra, at that place, all the sentient beings, all the humans and celestial beings, that they should then prostrate and pay reverence to that place. So if you were to place the Diamond Sutra in your room, at your home, then your home has become the stupa, and then whomsoever is there, they will make auspicious connection. There are people who purposely place the textbooks or the Buddha statue at the door, at the gate, so that people would, other people whomsoever come here would make great auspicious connections. Although it may seem like the Buddha is only watching over people's shoes. There are people who would place the Diamond Sutra on the car, and I think placing the Diamond Sutra in the car would be really wonderful. In the indirect way, it makes people to make a connection to it. So over here it says that you should know that this is then the pagoda or the stupa. Wherever the Diamond Sutra is there, then you should pay homage or circumambulate or scatter flowers and incense around it. And this one's also important. It says that by chanting, reading, and practicing the Diamond Sutra, you may then encounter some obstacles and hardship. And why? Why is that? Why does practicing and reading the Diamond Sutra would bring you some hardship? In fact, it is then eradicating the bad karma that is really severe. But by experiencing it previously in this life in a rather much lighter way, So there are people who have illness or some obstacles and have difficulties with interpersonal relationships and so on. Sometimes it is because of your own way of relating to your life, but sometimes it is because that you are experiencing the evil karma that would mature in your next life, which would be quite severe in terms of its fruition, in terms of its result. But now you're experiencing it in this lifetime, right now, however, in a much, much lighter way than you should have received. The previous evil karma that you carried out, which could cause people to be reborn in evil destinations in the three lower realms. But by now, by enduring this disparagement of others, this previous bad karma is eradicated and will eventually attain unsurpassed complete enlightenment. Khenpo Lasher, who is 90 years old now. In fact, he often quotes this from the Diamond Sutra. What he often says is that, well, now I know that I am not really having great health, but at least I am then having this kind of fruition of illness, but it would eradicate much worse fruition of my evil karma from previous times. And upon hearing what he often say, and upon hearing how he often thinks, I think I also familiarize myself with this kind of thinking as well. Whenever I myself experiencing some hardship, I don't really think of this way, that how terrible, why me? Even doctors would say that, why you have these three kinds of illness altogether? This is such suffering to you, isn't it? But I myself never really felt that it was my bad luck or my bad fortune or anything. I often felt that it was a way to eradicate my evil karmas. It is also taught in the way of the Bodhisattva about how to contemplate on the enduring difficult times. There are people who practice goods but don't receive good results, and there are people who practice good and receive good results, and there are people who then practice bad karma and bad actions and receive bad results right away, and don't receive bad results right away. But I think what's the most important is, if you were to practicing in such a way, it would break your self-grasping. And this is really the most important way of practicing it, such as it is stated in the way of the Bodhisattva. It says that countless ages, O my mind, do you spend desiring to attain your aims, and what a great weariness it was, while your reward was only misery. And if you were to contemplate on the misery, the root of the misery is in fact grasping towards yourself. And the more you grasp, the more the more misery will occur, because you have more self-grasping. And if you eradicate such kind of self-grasping, then whatever occurs, you won't view them as suffering, as obstacles, as difficulties anymore. So when we are studying the Diamond Sutra, I think this is quite important to remember. The karma and its fruition can be overturned or changed. And the most important way of working with it is to break your self-grasping. For example, when you there is some certain fruition that you will experience in this lifetime, by practicing and by upholding the Diamond Sutra, And the karma, such as the evil deeds that you ask other people to practice for you, and the evil deeds that you practice yourself willingly, and the evil deeds that you practice without knowing them. And this kind of evil karmas could be confessed through practicing the Diamond Sutra. And what cannot be purified is that the ones you practice voluntarily, even when you know that they are evil karmas, and the kind of karma you create because you have wrong views influenced by heretics. But when you're practicing the Diamond Sutra, this kind of certain results, a certain kind of negative karma that you will definitely experience can be also overturned or changed or lightened by practicing the Diamond Sutra, such as stated by Master Kuiji's commentary on the Vajrayana Sutra. It says that in the Nirvana Sutra it is stated, one who does not encounter the Dharma karma to be experienced by this person is determined. One who encounters the Dharma karma to be experienced by this person is undetermined. So the determined karma there are people who then may have this determined karma to experience. But if this person encounters the Dharma, then you have different methods to work with such kind of evil deeds, evil destinations, such as confession by practicing Vajrasattva, or practice the confession liturgy, or practice confession by upholding the Diamond Sutra, and so on. And in such a way, the karma could be overturned or could be changed, and in such a way it could be undetermined. There are people who probably don't really invest a lot of time or diligence into studying the Dharma, but at least you have the methods now. At least you've encountered the Dharma. In some ways, you practice some confession, you practice some good deeds or good karmas, and later on maybe you don't have to fall into the three lower realms. If you don't have special cases, I advise you to stay and finish the class. I think maximum I'll have 20 or 30 minutes.
Ramjur ngumber shide ndpt karwa changme bi yang chi changme bana devjang shaba jab jomba yang dober zoba sangye mar memza ji ngar yang chi ngaro na sangje shwa chak chuk bam chak ja chir sa je ta shong wa ngim ni ber shide mam ni bar ma shi be tu yong ro yang ma shi de ramjur sangje jomden de de da ngim ni ber je ne tu yong ro ma shi ba kan yim ba shim ti nga ja thamar gerwa nam dur den de lemba dom jwa dom zamba dom 창화당 lok바당 근데 저 집박강인바 람저로 수능기 봉본들라요 수능기 봉보 ngami 예 처리양 예버는 먼저 동거 처리양 범지 처리 장당 차당 장화당 회당 다당 결결와요 모조도 람저 까르테티 제나 리기워 뭐 근거 수능기 봉보 제니들 하던 점벌 결위 리기워 뭐 대다가 수능기 봉보는 예조나 샘친 남기 뮤버르르 장 샘직버는 겨로 람저 주지 남정도 섬기 미지버텐디 남브람 바용 섬기 미지바니도 르버르샤오 되니 좀던디지 세단다 람저란 드르키지 드르키지 소르도 좀던디지 소르도 드르키지 갑자도 만다 그런翻译的 장문的
Some translations are rather different.
좀던데 장지 Jordan de la ote sedan da maram jote sedan da maram jote thabala yang da brjig ba nam ji chertar ne ber ji chertar driber ji chertar sim rab da zon ber ji terke chi soro adam Jordan de ji sedan da maram jorlan der ke ji kwartar do ram jorn do lam zon thabala yang da brjig ben da nyam da ka sim chen tam chi pom bolong ma me ben yang len de bi yang sim yang len de da go ter tar da yang sam ba yang sim yang len de jang sim chen ka yang sam yang len 다바른 겨와 메도 냠더슴 기브르샤오디 지시르제나 람주르 가테샹주 선화 탐제던데 시장지구나요 대전 대장주 선화시 머샤테 건조 아르던데 신지나양 대장주 선화시 머샤위 시르 디지시르제나 람주르 장주 선회 타발라양 더버지바지 샤위 초대양 강메 비시로 람주르 냠더슴 대장서베 Devjin Shirba Marmin Zada Le, Kang Lanami Bayan the Burzoshan, Jibdam Gomber Zoberson, Gibichu Kang Yud Nyam Mama, Tirkichi Katsarva, Dan, Jondan de La, Zedandambaram, Jirgi, and Dirkichi Sordo, Jondan de Devjin Shirba Marmin Zana Lanami Bayan the Burzon, Jobdam Gomber Zoberson, Gibichu Teyan Kang Mamchizo, Tirkichi Suradan, Jondan de Gizandamba, Ramjur, Dirkichi Meso, Ramjur, Devjin Shirba. Devjin Shirba Marmin Zale, Kan Lanami Bayan Dober Zobershan, Jibdam Gomber Zobersan, Gibi Chote, and Kayam Medo, Ramjur Karte, Devjin Shirbe, Kan Gomber Zobersan, Gibi Chote, Gazik Yober Kirna, Devjin Shirba Marmin Zed, Ki, Ngala, Tramze, Kiga Choda Maung Bettina, Devjin Shirba Bayan Dober Zobersan, Shirket, the Baji Sharon Geroji, Long Martumba Zigna, Ramjur, the Devjin Shirba, Lanami Bayan Dober Zobershan, Jibdam Gomber Zobersan, Gibi Chote, and Kayam Mepe. Tivshira Devjan Shaba Marmim Zati Alap Tramzi, Kiga Chud Maung Tina, Devjan Shaba Jumba, Yang Dabar Zoba Santi Shakat Baji Shaver and Jeroji Lontondo, Tivshir Jena, Ramjura, Devjan Shaba Jipa Tena, Yang Dabat, Devjan Shabani Jitsu, Latrim Bishiro, Yang Ramjur Kanlala Zik and Derkata. Devjan Shaba Jumba Yang Dabar Zoba Santi, Lanami Bayan Dabar Zoba Santi, Shanjum Gomber Zoba Santi, Soji Zernate, Lobrama, Yanoti, Tivshir Jena, Ramjura, Devjan Shaba. Devjan Shirbe, Kang Lanami Bayan Dobershan, Jibdam Gomber Zobersan, Gibesan Gichu, Tayang Kang, maybe Shiro, Ramjur, Devjan Shirbe, Chu Kang, Gomber Zobersan, Gibagam Tambatela, Dembayan, Medambayan, Medo, Devena Devjan Shirbe, Chu Tamjit, Sanji, Chu Jixonzo, Ramjur, Chu Tamjit, Jifshava, Tena, Chu Tamjit, Mebayan, Tina, Chu Tamjit, Yang Sanji, Chu Jifshao.
All phenomena. So, no phenomena, all dharmas are not dharmas at all, then that is called all dharmas. You got it? No? Okay, that means you've already got enlightened. As I mentioned earlier, that be careful. Watch out, you may get enlightened.
Jordan de Kazara, Ramjur de Devjano, de Devjan de Shanchu Sanhuakan, Darkata Semchan Nam Yonsum Yang Lev Dawaji Zerna, Shanchu Sanhuaji Mersha, what did Jijin, Ramjur Shanchu Sanhuaji Shavi, Chu Teang, Yut Nyamna, Yut Nyam Mama, Ramjur Sura, Jordan de Ten Malanzo, Jordan de Kazara, Ramjur, Devena, Devjan Shabi Chu Tamchan, Semchan, Mebadan, Chuk Mebadan, Kanzak Mebago, Jirson, So, Ramjur, Ramjur Chanchu Sama Kanshi Kandarkaji Dak Yang Ko Barnam Druboji Zerna Teyang Tevjan the Jubur Mashawati Chivshir Jena Ramjur Jam Ko Barnam Jivshava Tena Kobameba Tejan Shabia Somba Tevjana Tena Jam Ko Barnam Jivshao Ramjur Chanchu Sama Kanshi Kandarkada Churnam of Dogmeba Churnam of Dogmeba Woji Mubatena Tevjan Sabata Jumbayan Dokurzo Santi Shanchu Sanhua Sanhua Chimbo Jodo Ramjur Churnyam the Sima Devjan Shabala Shikim Agam Ramjur Sora Jondan de the Lade Devjan Shab Shikim Agam Jondan de Kazara Ramjur the Churnyam the Sim Devjan Shabala Hikim Agam Ramjur Sora Jondan de Lade Devjan Shabana Hikim Agam Jondan de Kazara Ramjur The Jurnyam the Sima Devjan Shabala Shirib Kim Mama Ramjur Sora Jondan de Tetralak Devjan Shabala Shirib Kim Ago Jondan de Kazara Ramjur the Jurnyam the Sim 대정 서발아 추지점가 냠맘 람저지 소로와 정던데 데들라데 대정 서발아 추지점가 정던데 집가서 람저는도 냠도 셈 대정 서발아 산지지점가 냠 람저지 소라 정던데 데들라데 대정 서발아 산지지점가 정던데 집가서 람저는도 냠도 셈 셈년의 생각을 심하니 이건걸 심하니 대코나 저왜 대코나 저왜 대덕을 심하되 니지 직ten지 감서 저나 직ten지 감대덕 망와 연 람저지 소라 정던데 데들라데 직ten지 감대덕 망와서 정던데 집가서 람저는 직ten지 감대덕나 셈친 찌니지 요바대덕 삼바타도 셈지 ngarwe nga nge rapto shi so te ji jena ramjur semji jin ji shawa te na gen me per te jin shabe son bi sher de dina semji jin ji shawa te ji jena ramjur de bi semji mamu so maung bi semji mamu ba mamu se me da ta ter shon semji mamu se me da.
So the Buddha told Shubudi, saying that I know all the sentient beings' mind stream, as many as the sands in the Ganges River. Why? Because there is really no mind. The past thoughts are intangible, the present mind is intangible, and future minds are intangible. I think in such a way we can understand it too, isn't it? Because it's intangible, it's unattainable. All sentient beings, the past mind has already ceased, the future mind has not come yet, and the present mind is illusory. So through such a way, by observing the mind, such as the ways that is stated in the 300 verses of Madhyamika, then you'll be able to know that there's really no mind to be attained. And in such a way, I think we can understand all the beings in the 3 times. And their mind are intangible, and their mind in the 3 times are intangible, and the suffering that comes in the mind are also intangible. The past, the present, and the future mind and suffering cannot be attained. Cannot be obtained. So through the way of analyzing, such as observing that our mind that is happening now, right now is 8:49, and at this time, can you see your mind at this moment? No, it's already passed, because the moment you look at it, it's already gone. So this is quite important to read this stanza. The previous masters, the great masters, they said that the past has already ceased but not ceased, and the future has not rised and rised. This is stated by Master Fudashi, who was actually a lay practitioner. At the time, the emperor asked a master, saying that, could you please give me the teaching of Diamond Sutra? And the master said, in fact, I know someone who teaches Diamond Sutra much better than I do. And he recommended this person whose name is Fudashi, who is a lay practitioner. And at the time, Fudashi was fishing, and the emperor asked Fudashi to give the teaching of Diamond Sutra to the emperor. And Fudashi said that I don't need any Dharma throne to sit on, but I only need a block of wood that is then used usually in the Zen Buddhism. And then at that time, he started singing, just as Khenpo Sodargye used to sing the Vajra song spontaneously and gush out those Vajra songs. So Fudashi right away, just like that, then started singing the song of the Diamond Sutra. And the emperor felt really out of the place, saying that, who is this person who just sang a song and left? And then the Zen master said, well, you don't know him. This person actually is the manifestation of Lord Maitreya. So his song means that, in fact, what is seized is not seized. It means that there's no ceasing and no birth. And through such a way, you'll be able to understand your mind. And I think this is part of the reason why the Diamond Sutra has such great blessings, because it has so much pointing out instructions on the mind. In the Vajrayana, it talks about the pointing out instruction, and according to Zen Buddhism, it is said the koan, the koan and question and answers, or posing the questions rather. And this is really for the kind of people who have received the Pith instructions, and for the ones who don't really have the Pith instructions, they probably don't understand it. If you only think that mind resides in your body, then the corpse has body too. How come the corpse doesn't have mind? When I give teachings in universities, I met lots of university students. They really ever to receive Pith instructions, but I cannot give them because, as you know, Vajrayana teachings requires have prerequisites, including empowerments and so on. And then I chose to give them teachings on Diamond Sutra. So I heard some feedbacks. A university student from abroad who once told me that I have never received this kind of teaching ever before, and this is such very rare and profound teachings. So I think for people who have faith, who have such kind of trust, and who have auspicious connection, once they hear this kind of teaching that the past, the present, and future mind cannot be obtained, they will gain some personal insights and personal experience of it. In fact, many people relied on this verse to attain enlightenment.
Kietam Ramjur Sora, Jundande, Manlang so, they Shapa Manlang so, Jundande Jipkazara, Ramjur, the division, the Rigi Mokanda, Jitele, Sunumji Pombo, Mount of Kieto, Yan Ramjur, Katip, Sunumji Pombo, Kerna, Sunumji Pombo, the division shall be Mosung, Ramjur, the Chinyam the same. Zigirke Yonsen Jabe, Dejan Shabe, Rapt of Tower of Shaf Nyamam, Ramjur Sora, Jondan de Ten Malaso, then Malaso, Zigirke Yonsen Jabe, Dejan Shaba, Tower of Mugido Lasso, Tejila de Jena, Jondan de Zigirke Yonsen Jaba Givana, Yonsen Jaba Mamchi, Dejan Shabe Somber, Lat Te, Tina Zigirke Yonsen Jaba, Gio, Wo, Jondan de Gaf Sarpa, Ramjur the Chinyam the Sendem, some bosoms of Dejan Shaba. Tower Sha Nyamam, Ramjur Surva, Jondan de Tina Malaso, Sun Posums of Dejan Shaba, Tower Mergiva Lasso, Tijira de Jena Dena Shabe, Sun Posums of Ba, Gang Somba Tenam, Sun Posums of Ba, Mamchi, De Shabe Somber Latter Te Tina, Sun Posums of Ba. Jip Diogo, Jondan de Jukazara, Ramjur the Janyam the same Dejan Shabe. Nyam the Nye Churtondo Ji so Nyam na Ramjur te Tester Mafta te Dejan Shabe, Gang Tambi Chute and Gang Mepi Shir, Ramjur Sijik Terket, Dejan Shabe Chutando Ji, Zerna Ramjur ten Mepala Lobra, Ngala Kra, Kurvar and Gyoro, Tejina Ramjur, Chutamba Jishava ten. Churtumba Tamba, Jishava, Mubri Kirvi, Chute, Gang, Mepi Shiro, Tina, John de Gitsetamba, Ramjur, Dirkaji Sordo, John de Mao, Tina, Semjan Kantan, Tavichu, Shapan, the Tuni, Mumbra Yichibri Kiram, John Artam, Chi, Laksam, John de Gikazara, Ramjur, Tina, Semjan, Yang Mayan, Semjan, Yang Mayan, Semjan Nebaya, Mayan Bati, Jina, Ramjur, Semjan, Namji Shava, and Dejan Shabe. Tedaga Semchin Meprak Sombi Shirate Devena, Semchin Jisha, War, Ramjur the Chinyam the same. Dejan Shabekan Lana Mebayan, the Burshanjub, the Mumber, Zobra San, Gibi Chute, Yotnam Yamama, Tedan Damba, Ramjur Gilsorva, Jundan de, Dejan Shabekan, Lana Mebayan, the Burshanjub, the Zober, San Gibi Chute, Mamchis of Jundan de Yukatsara, Ramjur, Dejan, the Tela Chuchonzikan, Mamushan Medo, Tina Lana Mebayan, the Burshanjub, Shanchu Jisha, Young Ramjur Chute, and Yambra Shate. de de la men ba nyam ba kan yang me ba ne tina la na me ba yang do bor chang chib shang chibo ji xia wo la na me ba yang do bor zo bor shang chib de yang kan do la na me ba kan sem chen me ba chuk me ba kan zok me ba nyam ba de ge wi chu tam che nyam ngom bor zo bor yang sang ge so ram jer ge wi chu nam ji xia de de chu me ba ni de yang de jang shi be song de tina ge wi chu nam ji xia wo yang ram jer ji ri gi mo kan la ji ge tong sum ji tong ji mo ji ten ji kam na ri jer bo re 다가 제니의 요바테 잠지름 보치스나 든지 봉보 랍더 디데 짐바베 근거 시르비 바로도 심반도 타나 측집이 측습자 박지 점 종내 잔다라 양다 버타나 람저 수님기 봉본다 양 수님기 봉보 nga마테 게 차리양 네버 먼조베 위기와르드 양 먼조도 람저도 진년도 삼도 대정석베 데르그 네 셈친 남아 조르로 지공 공소 냠나 람저 데타 못다고 데지 지나 데데르다도 타오데 지지르 제나 람저르 데비정 서베 강 고르 셈전 강야 메비셔데 람저르 카데 데비정 서베 셈전 강라야 라지도 제르나데 데비정 서베 더든 점바다 셈전 점바다 쪽든 점바다 강속든 점바는 제로 람저르 더든 점바 지시야와는 점바 메파 데비정 서베 점바 메파 데비정 서베 송 송바 송나 데는 시바 소수케오 남기 송 람저 시바 소수케오 남 남너 데 케오 메바니트 데정 서베 송데 디나 시바 소수케오 남 시샤오 람저르 쩨냠다 셈 암산 바좀 소바 데정 서바타 버샤가 람저 지 소랍 정든데 데나 말럭 존 잠바좀 소바 데정 서바타 버면 게발럭 소 정든데 기과자라 람저 데베나 테르타 산 바좀 소베 데정 서바타 버면 마샤테 람저 카템 산 바좀 소베 devjang shaba tabar gernan kurlu gerwayan devjang shabaran gerde deve nam zan bazum zoba devjang shaba tabar mavshago denep jamdan degi tsadam baramjar dirkit jibka tsardo jamdan degi jertar tambi zombe ton nam zarbar gernam zan bazum zoba yan devjang shaba tabar mavgyo dina devjang shab dine denep jamdan degi tsigzib japanda tag kartsardo kandak ngala sis tongo kandak ngala jajiba lobi lamda jigba ikyo te dangamam
And over here it says, those who see me in form or seek me through sound are on a mistaken path. They do not see the Tathagata. In fact, this verse according to Xuanzang's version, as well as Yi Jing's translation, I think Yi Jing's translation is very similar to the Kumarjiva's translation mostly, and especially in this verse, except that on a mistaken path, where it says it is on a mistaken action, and some wordings are a bit different. And according to Xuanzang's version, it is a little bit difficult to understand in terms of its wording, but the later part of the translation is rather a little bit different. The emperor at the time, when he was conversing with Xuanzang and asking him about the different translations between Kumarjiva's translation and Xuanzang's translation, Xuanzang answered saying that in fact the Kumarjiva's root-based translation is a little different than the one that I am translating. Therefore, the translation is a little different, and I have one more verse than the Kumarjiva's translation. So the emperor then requested Xuanzang to translate a new version of Diamond Sutra. Therefore, Xuanzang, based on two kinds of root text, and made two translations, except that unfortunately now one of the translation has lost. And Xuanzang's version is very similar to the Tibetan version. And when Xuanzang was telling the emperor And he stated that, in fact, it is not that the translator has made a mistake. It is rather that the translation texts that they based on are very different. For example, there are two types. The translation comes from the kingdom of Magadha, and the Kumarjiva's translation comes from the root text. And there's another root text that comes from the kingdom of Shravasti. So there are different root texts that are the base of the additions. And in the Tibetan version, in fact, the Lotsawa, or the translator, is unknown, is not recorded. I heard that it is recorded in the context at the beginning of the content page, but maybe there is, but I have to look into it. Anyway, what I really want to address is that there are different versions. Some has more verses and some has less verses, and it is not really the fault of the translator. Rather, it is because of the base texts that are used by the different translators. So just as how different secretaries would compose different kinds of texts. Therefore, there are different versions. Just as the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, it was then written down by different panditas, and there are different panditas who comes from Kashmir, from the middle part of India, and there are people who then written down 700 verses, and some people written down over 1,000 verses, and do you remember the exact verses? 800? Exact number of verses? I think the one that we study, in fact, it was the one that has 1,000 verses, isn't it? And when people asked Shantideva, saying that which one should we use, which version should we use, then Shantideva said that you should use the one that has 1,000 verses. So there are different versions. And if you don't really compare the different versions, then it's okay. Maybe because of the aspiration made by Kumarjiva, I think this Kumarjiva's version is more popular in China. But it is the most condensed as well, the shortest one, really. And maybe it is because the Chinese really like the short ones, such as how the Chinese people really like the short Heart Sutra. But we cannot say that if it's short, then it is incomplete or not perfect. We cannot say that. In fact, it is quite important to remember that all these great Losavas, the great translators, they have a great attainment and understanding, and their translations, it carries the power, and whatever versions makes you feel the most connected, then you can practice and uphold such versions. In the Tibetan version, in fact, there is another verse that's understand this one, where it says that one should see the Buddha as the nature of the Dharma, which is the Dharmakaya of the realized one, the nature of Dharma being unknowable by ordinary mind. Ordinary people cannot comprehend it. So this is the translation translated by Master Xuanzang's Vajrapada Prajnaparamita Sutra. According to Bodhi I think in his translated version of the Chinese version, maybe it also has this verse as well. I didn't really get time to compare to that one. So what it says is that, in fact, the Tathagata is also as the nature of the Dharma, and that Dharmakaya of the realized one cannot be known by the ordinary mind. That is usually using conceptual mind or using words or descriptions. It is not like that at all. In fact, it is the Dharmakaya that is unspeakable and uncomprehended, cannot be comprehended by the ordinary people. So the Tathagata over here refers to the Dharmakaya, the nature of the Dharma. And this verse is included in many different versions other than Kumar Jiva's version.
ram jurunda nyamda sem san posum sobe devjang shaba rab chum bayang da bur zobo shang chip dum umr zobo sang jeso nyamda zanna ram jur chuji ter ter tawar ma shar de ram jurum san posum sobe devjang shaba rab chum bayang da bur zobo shang chip dum umr zobo sang jeba medo ram jurunda nyamda shang chip sang hui thagba la yang tagbar jigbar namgi chukang lala ji Arnambar Shikba Gama, Chapar Tagbago, Yamdan Zana, Ramjur, Tete Tawra Masharte, Shanchu Sun Hui Tagbala, Yang Tabar Jigba Namgi, Chu Kang, number of Shikbagam, Chapar Tagba Medo, Yang Ramjur Rigium, Kanjik, Jiktingi Kamkang Longushima, Tag Rambochi, Nabdangi Rapta, Kanwar Shie, Jimba, Shanchu Sun Hua, Gunga, Chujan Namjan, Dagmejan, Kia Mapur, Zoba, Tobna, Tenir, Zitinile, Sunumji, Chupombo, Changmanda, Hodame Bar Niedo, Yang Ramjur Shanju San Hui Sonamji Pombo, Yonsu Zongra Marjo, Setan Damba, Ramjur Sora Jondan de Shanju San Hui Sonamji Pombo, Yonsu Zongra Marjiba, also Jondan de Chipka Sarva, Ramjur, Yonsu Zon Mode Lobra, Mozon Te, Yonsu Zongra, Shiago, Yang Ramjur, Kan Lala Zik, Derkut, Devjan Sherba, Jitam, Shundam, Jansam, Jigsam. Narvaram Zato ji zerna narva shuntam jansam jiksam narvaram zat
Before I made the translation of from Chinese to Tibetan, in fact, sometimes I didn't really understand how to translate it, and now I'm studying it from the translations. An old Khenpo once, when he gave us teachings, and he would get really happy about a certain words and certain teachings, and he would say that, please wait, I just found something very important, just wait. And then we would sit out there and wait for a long period of time. So even during the raining time, we would sit outside, and it was really cold. At that time, we didn't really have any classrooms or any rooms at all, and we didn't really dare to go, and we would wait for him, who then stays inside the room, and we were sitting in the yard. So sometimes when I read the oral transmissions, I am thinking, making mental notes. I should remember this.
Sanji Shago, Yang Ramjur, Rigium, Kanala Jiki, Tonsum Jitonji Mojiti Kam, see the Jini Yobate, Dustate, Huernar, the Charabji, Sojan, the Shimmer Shene, Ramjur, the Juniam, the same, the Charabji, so the Mayan, Yam, Ramjurji, Sora, Jondan, the Tete, the Charabji, so the Mala, so Tiji Latajan, Jondan, the Charabji, so Shibram, she ever Kirna, Jondan, the Charabji, so Marsuri, Flat, Tiji Latajan, Jondan, the Charabji, Gang Songba Te the Tsog the Mamchi Be, Devjang Shagba Namji Songbi Latago, Dinar the Charabi, Tsogji, Yogo, Devjang Shagbi, Tonsum, Ton, Jitingi, Kam Jiva, Gang Songba Ten, Kam Mamchi Be, Devjang Shagbi Song, De, Dinar Tonsum, Jiton, Jitingi, Kam Yogo, De Jihla the Jen of Jondan de Garte, Jitingi Kam. The Chiber Girnati, Rurun Zumber Kiri, Latago, Devjan Sherbe, Rurun Zumber Somba Tena, Zumba Mamchiba, Devjan Sherbe Sombi, Latago, Tina, Rurun Zumba Yogo, Jondan de Gipquatsara, Jondan Ramjur, Rurun Zumbandana, Tarnite, Chutem, Jut me by Yin, Na, Tena, Shiba, Susu, Kio, Namdi, Zumo. Ramjur Kanlala Zikan, Derkut, Devjan Sherbe, Dr. Tower Sombatan, Devjan Sherbe, Semchen der Tavadan, Chok Tavadan, Kanzak der Tavak Sonso, Zizerna Tean, Tabarmava Yen, Ramjur Yusura, Jondan de Tena Malakso, Dever Shabatena Malakso, Tichilat Zina, Jondan de Devjan Sherbe, Dr. Tower Somba Tena. Tawa Mamchi Bat, Devjan Sherbe, Sombi Lata, Tina, Dr. Tavajivana, Jondan de Jipkasaro, Ramjur, Dola Shansu Sanve, Tabala, Yan Dobrajibe, Dola Chu Tamchit, Shibir Shower, Tavarasha, Mubrasha, Chinis, Chusen de Shibala, Maniber Shibir Show. Ninga, 我们这个金刚经啊，就是金刚经的话呢，就按照这个
In fact, according to Master Huinen's commentary, he said that if we could practice by abiding in the status of understanding of emptiness and practice the Diamond Sutra and reading and upholding the Diamond Sutra, this is the most supreme way of practicing it. But even if you can't abide in such an insight of emptiness, even if you read and uphold the Diamond Sutra with a distracted mind, in fact, it could also bring great merit. So, on one hand, the Diamond Sutra could dispel the maras, such as when the Indra and when the Indra was about to begin the fight with the Asuras, Indra asked the Buddha what he should do in order to win the war, and then the Buddha taught him the mantra of the emptiness, and then at that time, by chanting it, it indeed dispelled all the maras and obstacles for Indra. So even if all the retinues and the maras come together to attack someone, and by chanting the mantra of Prajnaparamita mantra, it could then dispel different obstacles and different hardships. For people who encounter hardships, who encounter obstacles, then you should rely upon Prajnaparamita, because this is the best way to dispel obstacles and subdue maras. The Heart Sutra has this practice of dispelling obstacles, and that is exactly the reason, because of the Prajnaparamita, the wisdom. Not only it could dispel different obstacles, it could also prolong one's life, one's longevity. A story in the collection of the enlightenment or experience gained by upholding the Diamond Sutra, it says that a novice who got the prediction that he would die the next day, and he got really scared, and he started chanting very diligently the Diamond Sutra, and he started chanting he chanted for 6 years. Then the person who made the prediction was very surprised when he met the novice again after 6 years, and saying that, wow, what did you do? Because nowadays your karma is completely different than when I first saw you. And by knowing the reason that he prolonged his life by chanting the Diamond Sutra, the novice continued to chant it every day until he became an old monk, around 100 years old. Nowadays, many people would take different kind of nutrition and nutritious supplements from Japan, from Germany, from Europe, and from many different countries. But I think Of course, on one hand, it would be very helpful to your physical body. It could contribute to the factor that you can maintain a healthy body. But if you don't have a healthy mind, doesn't matter how much nutritious supplement you take, you will then shorten your lifespan. So for people who want to prolong your lifespan, who want to have longevity, it is the best to then chant the Diamond Sutra. Therefore, when people ask me, what if I want to get longevity? What if I want to get wealthy? I would give them advice saying that just chant Diamond Sutra. In fact, I myself indeed feel this way. I spoke of this genuinely. The blessings that comes from it is quite immeasurable and inconceivable. And over here it is then talks about you should recite, remember, follows, and expound it to others. It talks about the listening, contemplation, and practice of it. A master told his disciple, saying that you should not only chant it mindlessly, you should in fact contemplate upon it as well. And then the disciple got enlightened by chanting this part. So this also could bring enlightenment, this verse. Therefore, the treasures are hidden in every place inside the Diamond Sutra. At the end, it says that all conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow, like a dew or a flash of lightning. Thus we shall perceive them. This is quite a well-known verse. And according to Xuanzang's translation, where it says that like a star, hallucination, candle, magical illusion, dewdrop, a bubble, dream, a lightning, or a cloud, in fact, it has more metaphors than this one that is translated by Kumarjiva. And Xuanzang's version is more in sync with the Tibetan translation. During our daily life, we should use this kind of 6 kinds of metaphor, or contemplate upon 6 kinds of metaphor, or 9 kinds of metaphor. The previous one, previously, the Diamond Sutra talks about the wisdom of emptiness, and this part talks about the wisdom of post-meditation. In the resting in illusion, composed by Longchenpa, there are different metaphors, and there are different metaphors included in the Madhyamika teachings, the 400 verses of Madhyamika. Different texts included the dream-like or illusion-like kinds of metaphor to teach people how to practice in daily life. And over here, it has the 6 metaphors, and the Tibetan version as well as Xuanzang's version has 9 kinds of metaphors. So that's how we should view life. Originally, I really wanted to give the teaching of how to practice up on the Diamond Sutra, but today I don't really have much time. Previously, I've given the teaching of how to practice with the Heart Sutra, and the teaching and the practice on Diamond Sutra is rather very similar to it. And for those of you who are interested, you should look into it. The actual practice, the main practice of Diamond Sutra, I think it's quite important to build a sense of feeling towards the Diamond Sutra. You have to feel attraction towards the Diamond Sutra. How do you do that? You should first of all then feel and know about the merit of the Diamond Sutra. You should understand that this is the way to lead you to enlightenment, the only way to lead you to enlightenment. And you should continuously, repeatedly to contemplate in such a way. You should contemplate that this is the best sutra, this is the best kind of teaching, the best way that could lead me to enlightenment, so that it could build up your faith towards the Diamond Sutra. And then after building up this kind of feeling, you can use different ways that is taught in Madhyamika teachings up on how to analyze, how to observe, and how to come to definitive conclusion of emptiness. And in such a way, you'll be able to understand how it appears and manifests, have appearance in relative truth, but in its nature, in the ultimate truth, it is complete emptiness. It is emptiness with the appearance. And when you are in the previous part of the Diamond Sutra, it teaches about the meditative aspect, the ultimate aspect of the emptiness. And when you are in the post-meditation sessions, then you should contemplate with this kind of metaphors that everything appears without any ground. It is groundless manifestation, groundless appearance. It is just like a dream and illusion. Everything, all the people around you, all the phenomena around you, they're just appearance. The scientists would say that in fact everything is illusory. But they are only talking about it from the theoretical point of view. They don't have the actual practice. But once you have the actual practice, it is different. You should then use the teaching of emptiness, and then you will be able to come to the realization of a post-meditation, or the metaphors that is described over here. So the emptiness and the appearance that is dreamlike and illusion-like, if you could attain such kind of understanding, then I think you can say that you understand some part of the Diamond Sutra. It talks about how to tame your mind. It is tame your mind with emptiness, and in appearance it is dreamlike and illusion-like. Okay?
Zhizadam chipin jikten yarang de chungdun de jik song bala ngumbro to to bakba shirab di bardo jimbak dur ji shu ba ji javi ndur zo so. 강도 지와 담치 담 도리 용단 던던 도브르 지마도 주동 저지 저런 줄라랑 대양 남만 담밤 입시전년 dom서 뭐 줄라 슈브르 주동면 형보 돈도 전도 특비 점수 가는 특파 담비 주로 잔돈 돌라 돈에 lap전 잔도 슈브르메 바이 담치 샴지 산제 토브르 쇼 샹조선 조름 보지 마르기바나 지 제반년 밤에 바 공내 공던 베르 조스카마라브르 마르메 지마즈르 아치바
When I give the teaching of the Diamond Sutra, I taught you that if you cannot give the whole teaching of the Diamond Sutra, at least you should give the teaching of the last 4 verses. If you never had the chance of giving the teaching to others, at least you can sing it out so that you can then share this verse to others. So it would be wonderful if you can propagate, if you can pass down, disseminate the Diamond Sutra. But even if you cannot disseminate the entire sutra, at least you can give the teaching of the last 4 verses, because that talks about how every phenomena is like a dream and like illusion, and that could bring great merit as well. You yourself, the ones who practice in the Diamond Sutra, do not hold great grasping and do not have a great solidity. You should view everything like illusory and dreams, and do not say that I know that by theory, but I cannot truly practice it. I understand that it's difficult to do it right away, to view everything as illusory and dreamlike right away. But if you can slowly practice upon it, then it could definitely ease lots of problems in your life. This time, I know that lots of people are listening to this teaching, and I really hope that you could disseminate this teaching. I received this teaching from Khenpo Deva, who gave me the teaching, and only to me. Khenpo Deva was then dozing off when he was giving me this oral transmission, and I offered him a coffee, and he never had coffee before. He said that it's so bitter, and I'm falling asleep by drinking this coffee. So people nowadays would say that you should not drink coffee in the PM, but my reason for drinking coffee in the afternoon is that you would sleep even better after drinking coffee. Anyhow, I myself remember all my great masters, and I have a great gratitude for the ones who give me such wonderful and profound teachings. And I'm passing down this teaching to you, and hope that you could disseminate and practice and uphold this teaching. In the modern era, in fact, a lot of people have mental health issues such as depression. Some professor said that. In fact, a professor of Chinese medicine, he said that I think people who have depression and anxiety should study Buddhism. And he noticed that lots of his patients would improve greatly once they practiced the Diamond Sutra. So in this era where mental illness increase greatly than ever before, I think Diamond Sutra and this teaching would be of great benefit to lots of sentient beings. So we should disseminate this. We should disseminate the Diamond Sutra in China, in mainland, and in all the places, especially for Chinese people who already had a great faith towards the Diamond Sutra. I know there are people who do not dare to make aspiration and make vows of practicing the Diamond Sutra because they don't want to create any mistakes by breaking the vow. But I myself think that it doesn't really create too much mistakes, because at least it would force you to chant as many times of the Diamond Sutra as possible. So I think this is quite valuable to practice it. And we'll stop here today.